Good evening. So this book was recommended to me somewhat recently by a friend. It's called Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. This story follows two different main characters. So first we have Nikuro. He lives in a world that for many, many centuries has existed essentially in almost complete darkness. I think it was like something like 1700 years ago, like there was this catastrophe that caused many, many people to die and the entire world to go dark. And since then, like their societies have evolved around these two different types of energy referred to as Heian lines, which they can manipulate in different ways to power machines and run like the different inventions and stuff that people have come up with, and it's pretty much the only way that people have managed to survive. So Nikuro is a nightmare painter, which is a profession in this world that's kind of important because they help people deal with one of the world's major dangers, which are these creatures that they refer to as nightmares. So nightmares essentially start off as shadowy forms that don't necessarily have a lot of substance, but they feed off people's fears, and they are highly influenced by people's imagination. So the more fear they feed off of, the stronger they become and the more solid they become. Which means if you leave them alone long enough and they become strong enough, they can actually cause people real harm. But when, since they are nightmares and people are afraid, like if you see a monster, then they become more monstrous. And you kind of want to avoid this cycle. So the job of a nightmare painter is to reimagine like these nightmares and paint them into something harmless. Like the idea is that since they are highly influenced by how people perceive and think of them, if you can paint them into a harmless or cute or whatever shape, you can banish them, and this prevents them from gaining the kind of strength that it requires to become what they call a stable nightmare. So a stable nightmare is a nightmare that has become so powerful it can actually kill people and destroy physical objects, and it has like a substantial well-defined shape. So on Nikuro's end, like he's kind of just plodding through life, but things change for him when he encounters what appears to be a practically stable nightmare, and it's really strange that no one has caught it yet, because it means that it's been roaming around for a really long time, and it's very unusual for them not to have gone like on a rampage. So he's trying to make sure that someone finds out, and because he's not technically a very high-ranking or well-regarded nightmare painter and doesn't really have the capabilities to deal with it on his own. So he's trying to protect the family that it went after and to get someone more capable to come clean up this problem. So the second main character is Yumi. She lives in a world that is very, very different from Nikuro's in that it's actually extremely bright most of the time and also very, very hot. Like it has like heat that literally radiates up from the ground and is so intense that the plants on their world have evolved to actually like float in the sky. So they have their farms and everything actually all take place higher up in the atmosphere where it's not so hot and plants can actually survive and get the moisture and stuff that they need. So Yumi herself is she plays a particular role where she acts like as a go-between with the humans and the spirits. So instead of technology, they communicate with spirits that they can request to take the shape of different useful objects, I guess. So for instance, when people want lights, you can ask a spirit to become a set of lights and stuff that turn on and off depending on how you handle them. They also have spirits that can take the form of things that fly, or spirits that help their carriages float and stuff like that. So pretty much everything that you think of that you might typically use with technology, they use spirits to accomplish, and her job is to make these requests and to give the spirits their shape. So I think it's called like Yokihiros, but there's only a limited number of them, and their lives are extremely restricted. Like, she is somewhat held aloof, I guess, from everyone around her, and it can be very frustrating. But things kind of change when she feels like she hears a spirit ask her for help to free it from something, only she doesn't know which spirit is exactly or what it's asking to be freed from. But after she hears this wish, suddenly her life and Nikro's become entangled. Like whenever he falls asleep in... Okay, well, actually it's a little complicated. So when so Nikro suddenly finds himself in Yumi's world, and it seems like everyone sees him as Yumi, so it's kind of like his spirit is possessing her body, and her spirit is a ghost watching him when this happens. And then when he falls asleep, the reverse happens, where she wakes up in his body, in his world, and he becomes the spirit watching what she is doing. So they can interact with each other, but for the most part, the other people in each of their worlds cannot see the spirit version. This caused a lot of issues, obviously, because their worlds are extremely different, and they're also very different kinds of people who see and deal with problems in very different ways, but they slowly begin to try to work together to understand why this is happening to them and to figure out the different secrets that are going on in their respective societies, and to try to deal with each of the problems in their lives. Okay, so I'm going to start with what I did not like. So this story is written from the point of view as kind of like an observer looking in on their lives, and I kind of found the writing style a little boring. Like, it was really hard to get into. I think it took several parts before it actually started to get interesting for me. So yeah, like I did not like the writing style. But why did I read the whole thing? I did think the setting was extremely interesting, like to hear about the way like these really, really different worlds functioned, I guess, and then kind of unraveling that mystery of why these worlds are even connected and how these characters' lives actually relate to one another. I think figuring that out was like, I enjoyed watching how that mystery and stuff played out.